Da-na, da-na-na, boom, boom. Da-na, da-da-da-da. I want to put this mic under the table. Whew. Got scared there. Got scared I was going to spill my mug. Got scared I was going to pull it right off the table, actually, and have it break into pieces. Dun-dun-dun-dun-dun. Ew. That'd be a sick entrance, though. Broken Glass Ranch. That's Stone Cold's ranch. For those of you that aren't wrestling fans, when I said, dun-dun-dun-dun-dun, ew. What I was talking about was that old Texas. I was talking about that old Texas rattlesnake, Stone Cold Steve Austin, who was a hell of a guy. He was a trendsetter. Like, as far as artists go, you never think of wrestlers as artists. But for guys like The Rock and Stone Cold, they really did write their own stories. Back then, even before that, obviously, those are just in my era, but Ric Flair's and stuff, they were technically artists because they came up with their own character and then they lived him as a life. Like, sometimes the art did take over the artist. Because a lot of people say separate the art from the artist, but then you got Hulk Hogan, who didn't start off his life saying, "Let me tell you something, brother." But as life went on, he started saying, "Let me tell you something, brother. Thanks, brother." When he's just in everyday life. "Can I get a picture?" "Sure, brother." "Get over here, brother. Are you a Hulkamaniac?" That's what he would be doing. I think. I don't know. The Rock, obviously, he embodied his character, but I don't know. What I'm saying is, that was not even a shot at The Rock. I just don't know. I don't know how much of The Rock he is in real life. Ric Flair, definitely, he let the nature boy take himself over. He became the nature boy. Woo! You don't think he's wooing all the time? It's probably getting annoying around the house if you're like his high school sweetheart, which you're not, because he had sex with 10,000 women during his career. So if you're his high school sweetheart and you hung in there for that, I mean, good on you. But I don't think that happened. Hey, maybe it did. She could be an old school lady, and she could be down with that. And if you're not down with D-Generation X, I got 2 words for you. Suck it. That's how we're starting the show. Come on now. I'm James Cummins. I'm your host. This is the first solo episode. And if I do say so myself, we're off to a great start. The cup didn't break, and I broke out into an opening riff I didn't even expect. Because all it was a glass almost broke. And it reminded me of Stone Cold. But you're not here for wrestling. What are you here for? Why are you here? All of the 20 of you, or less, or more, but probably hovering around that number. But we're working on it. You know what I mean? You got to put the reps up. You want to be a talk show host one day? You got to do some talk shows. And that's what I'm doing here. I'm your host, James Cummins. I don't know where to look because I put a mirror back there, but I have the camera here. So do I look into the camera? Do I look in the mirror? Do I want to see what I'm doing? Or do I want to make connection with the audience? You tell me. Let us know in the comment section. If anyone ever did comment, that'd be great. I think it helps the algorithm. And the algorithm, I need help with. Anyways, I was on the topic of Ric Flair possibly cheating. Ric Chair. That's like the Ric Flair, a spoof on him. A guy that like brings the chair to the wrestling ring all the time and just beats people with it. He's like, "I'm Ric Chair." And he I don't know if that's what he says. Maybe he's better on the mic than that. But the point is, he's going to bring a chair to the room and he's going to use it in the room and the wrestling ring. That's a guy that he's embodying it in his own life now. You know what I mean? He's Ric Chair. First, it was just a gimmick in the ring. He's like, "I'm going to bring a chair to the ring. I'm going to fucking be a guy that plays a little dirty." You're not supposed to hit people with a chair unless it's a hardcore match, but it's not. When the ref's not looking, he hits you over the head with a chair. Ric Chair. The ref sees a chair in the ring, and he's like, "Well, obviously, I think the guy named Ric Chair probably hit him in the head with it, but he didn't see it." And as we know, if a wrestling referee doesn't see it, he got to just count 1, 2, 3. The match is over. The point is, now Ric Chair is doing it in his own life. Now he's walking into house parties with a folding chair, and people are like, "You're not going to use that thing tonight." And he's like, "Depends how many twisted teas I have." Because Ric Chair is the kind of guy that drinks some twisted teas. I'm not here to talk to you about wrestling. I'm not. I swear to God, I'm not. This is not a wrestling podcast. that's just the start that we got off to. But what I was talking about was Ric Flair possibly cheating on his high school sweetheart, which brings me to our top story of the day. Because apparently in Toronto, the men are known for cheating. I don't know. I've never met any of them. All the guys I know, really good guys. And me too, especially me. But I saw on a Toronto news site that the dating scene in the GTA has become so horrendous that women created a private Facebook chat to let each other know if they're dating the same man. Man, women have got lazy. You know what I mean? Back in my day, you would just create your own. Like, I know a guy that this happened to. His girlfriend created a fake profile. I don't know if it was MSN or some dating profile. This was before Tinder though. So it was like MSN or MySpace or something. Creates a profile, follows him or has a chat with him as another girl, a pretty girl. She says, "Oh, come and meet me at the mall. Let's meet at the mall." Trying to see if her boyfriend would actually go meet this strange girl at the mall. Pretty girl. Nice pictures. So he's down because he's not a great guy. He's not one of these great Toronto guys that I'm talking to you about. All the guys that I know now, they're all great guys like me. No, he's a bit of a Rolling Stone, but hey, we were kids. We were still teenagers. This is like 18, 19 years old. Like, he's probably, as a grown man, that guy's probably a great guy now too. Or he might be dead. I think he did die. R.I.P. that guy. I didn't mean to bring it up. The point is, he went and meet the fake girl at the mall. And then his girlfriend, meet me in front of Colonel's. Let's get some popcorn and walk around the mall. He goes to his local mall. His local mall, which was like a mistake. Like, a lot of people can see you at the local mall. Back then, you're going to run into a couple friends at the local mall. And who does he run into? His girlfriend in front of Colonel's. And at first, he's like, wait a minute. I didn't mean to run into you here. But she says, no, I know you're a piece of shit. You thought you were going to meet up with that girl that you met on MSN or MySpace, whatever it was. You thought you were going to meet that girl. You thought you were going to meet that girl. You were going to cheat on me with that girl. You were going to go take a walk around the mall with her. She probably put some dirty stuff in the chat too. Like, she was definitely leading the witness. You know what I mean? Or he's not the witness. He's the fucking criminal. She was leading the criminal. She led the You can teach a man to cheat. But if you make a man cheat, I don't know. No, how would you do that phrase? So the original one is, you can give a horse a drink and he'll drink for a day. You can teach a man to okay. You can fish for a man and he'll eat for a day. You can teach a man to fish and he'll eat for a lifetime. Now, in this case, you can let a man cheat all by himself and you might never find out. But if you lead a man to cheating, then you'll find out because you set the trap. So the hunter catches its hunted. A lot of phrases that I'm just butchering right now. I do like phrases though. Big fan of phrases. Hopefully one day I'll have some of my own. Some people will look back at me and say, hey, that guy said this. And I think he's the first guy that said it. One of the things that I said is do what you want in life. Don't be a dick about it. Do what you want in life. Just don't be a dick about it. Like, you don't have to be a dick about it. Speaking of which, I don't know if they're being a dick about it, but there's that teacher. I saw that story about that teacher wearing the big breasts, the Z size. So there's A's, right? There's B's, there's C's, there's D's. And at most points, that's where a girl will stop if she's going to choose a size. Give me a couple double D's. You know what I mean? Anything more than that is going to get in the way. But this person decided that they wanted Z's. This is a they, them, I believe. It's a teacher. Let's just call them the teacher. The teacher putting on Z-size breasts. Now, they're getting a little trouble recently because I saw Ontario trans teacher with Z-size prosthetic breasts dresses as a man outside of school, neighbor says. And I saw that. You see the picture here. They dress as a man outside. Now, I'm not trans and I've never had breasts, so I don't really want to get into the deep water on this conversation. But what I will say is that I know women with big breasts, and sometimes they've made them seem like they're a problem. Like, they're heavy, they hurt their back, different things like that. So if you had the option to take your breasts off for a day and just get some running around done, I think you would do it. I think so. Ladies, let us know. They do have their setbacks, right? 5 disadvantages of having large breasts. Gravity is not your friend. the gravity, that makes sense. The tits are heavy, right? Whether they're natural or fake, I think they still have weight to them. They haven't made fake weightless breasts yet, but the scientists are working on it, I promise you. Large breasts are known to cause neck and back pain. So, yeah, if you have the option to take them off, obviously I'm going to make a quick run to the convenience store. I don't need to bring my tits with me right now. You know what I mean? I'm not planning on running into anyone important. But the point is, you still bring them to work. And I think that's why this person wears them to work. I know everyone's like, not everyone, but there's some people that have strong opinions. They're a sick fuck for wearing them at school. I didn't say that. I don't care. I don't care. Do what you want. Don't be a dick about it. That's my point. But I'm just saying, if you see them, maybe you don't want them to teach in a school. Fine, whatever. They end up working at a fucking office. And they wear their tits to the office. Because it's like, you wear your nice pants at the office too. You don't go to work in your sweatpants. You're going to bring your tits with you. Right? So, I'm just saying, if you have Z-sized breasts and you have the option to take them off and do some running around, you might do it. I don't want to get into who should be allowed to wear what where. I'm not into it. Do what you want. Don't be a dick about it. And ladies, I just feel your pain. I don't feel it, but I feel it. Like I feel it here. I don't feel it on my neck and my back. Ugh. But as I got fatter, I definitely have some more back pain. I also breathe more. Fatties, you know what I'm talking about? I breathe more. I don't remember ever hearing the sound of my own breath before I started getting like over 200 pounds. Once I started getting over 200 pounds, I started hearing this. Sometimes after I like just go up the stairs or just like talk for nonstop on a podcast and forget to breathe. And then I'm like, sometimes the worst time, having sex with a girl. You're hitting it from the back. It's okay when you're up here. But then sometimes when you like want to get a little close and you want to feel some contact, because that's romantic. You want it to be romantic. You want it to be nice. You want it to be sensual. Whatever. It's fun. But what's not fun is going like this in her ear, which I don't remember doing before I got fat. There is disadvantages to being fat, unfortunately. Another disadvantage for breasts, though, many women with large natural breasts experience deep bra strap indentations on their shoulders. And who wants that? You didn't sign up for that, right? You don't want to have the indents. Like, that's just uncomfortable. Large asymmetrical breasts can be more noticeable. I mean, I don't think that was the problem for this teacher because they definitely put them on to be noticeable. But then sometimes you don't want to be noticed. So actually, yeah, like sometimes you're like, you want to go out and have everyone talk about your tits. Why not? Why not? But then there's other times where you're like, I just want to like pop in to I keep saying the gas station, but that's where I go a lot. Pop into the gas station, pump my gas, get some gum, and maybe a Coke. Maybe a chocolate bar. And then I want to go home. But I don't want to have the whole fucking gas station staring at me, right? I just want to pop in, pop out. If I'm in a real rush, I'll pay at the pump and I'll leave, right? And maybe I'm just not trying to be noticed right now, so I left my Z-sized breasts at home. Sue me. I don't know why number 5 is all of. Women in San Diego with large breasts often experience chafing and rashes. I don't know which list I looked up, but that was number 5. And yeah, women in San Diego, I guess we can just say women in a hot place are going to experience some chafing. And I'm a guy with big legs, so I can actually relate to you on this one. Even before I was more chubby, like I've always had big legs. Like I had strong legs before. Now I have still strong legs because they're holding up my fat body. But chafing has always been an issue for me. Yep. Those thighs rubbing together. So I guess when your breasts rub together too, or your breasts rub here, and chafing doesn't feel good. So I could recommend baby powder. I do that. Or I could recommend taking off your tits like this Mr. I could recommend taking off your tits like this person who teaches at an elementary school and brings the Z's to work. You bring the Z's to work, you take them off when you get home. You've had a long day of teaching. The tits are out here. Take a break. Take your tits off. Get comfortable. That's all the news we have this week. The other news is with me. I have some news myself. I just got back from driving across the country. the reason I didn't have an episode out last week, and the reason I'm doing a show this week by myself, is because last week I drove from Toronto to Vancouver for a job, not comedy. Did some comedy along the way. I'll tell you about it. The reason I didn't have an episode last week is because I was traveling. And the reason I'm doing one by myself this week is because I got back. I wanted to get a guest in here today. Didn't get a chance. Don't want to miss 2 weeks in a row. So you got a solo episode. And it's not too bad. Or maybe it's shit. I guess we'll find out in post. So I did some driving. I did some driving out to Vancouver for basically, what are they doing? I do driving for this company that does some marketing. And they were doing one thing for Canada Health, and it's about safe drug use in Vancouver because people are overdosing. They're saying, hey, guys, chill, don't overdose. And I agree. Any way we can stop that would be nice. So I was driving this van, had to be dropped off in Vancouver. Wanted to make some comedy stops along the way. One of my first comedy stops along the way was Thunder Bay. I was supposed to headline this show. Shout out to Mark putting it together. Great guy. Go attend his shows. If you're out in Thunder Bay, he seems to be the man up there. I see he's like doing theater shows, opening for Jerry D. Great guy. He set me up a show. I was supposed to go out and headline it. This is my first stop along my Canada tour, driving, but doing some comedy along the way. So I'm supposed to stop in Thunder Bay, and I'm on the way there. My ETA is 6 p.m. Looking good. The show's at 8. I'm going to have some time to relax, maybe get a workout in at the hotel, hit the show. When all of a sudden, I hit this long line of cars and trucks that's not moving. I sneak my way to the front of the line and I find out road's closed. I go to talk to the guy at the road closure sign, ask him what's going on. He says there's multiple fatal accidents. We're going to be here for hours. So I'm getting nervous. I'm like, hours, damn, that's going to suck. Because my show, I'm going to be hours. That means maybe I'll get there right on time if it's 2 hours. And if not, I'm going to be late. So I hit up the guy running the show. Like I said, great guy. Probably one of the best guys ever. Because he's like, all right, listen, I'll start the show late. I'll put an intermission in. We'll rearrange some shit. So if you're here by like 10:30, it'll be okay. Bought myself 4 extra hours of time. Great. 3 hours go by. We're still not moving. Now I'm getting nervous. Now it's like, fuck, I'm not going to have a second to... I have to drive straight there and be there for 10:30. Latest. We start moving. And I get on the road again. Okay, sick. I'm going to get there. I'm going to get there in time for 10. We're looking good for 10 o'clock. I drive for about 2 more hours. I'm about 45 minutes outside of Thunder Bay. It's just after 9. We're looking good. And then all of a sudden, I run into another long line of cars and trucks. And I'm like, is this another fatal accident? I asked the guy in front of me how long he'd been here. He's like, an hour already. We're fucked. I see a big, I don't know if there was any fatal accidents at this one, but it was definitely like a tractor trailer had rolled over because I saw one of those giant tow trucks that you see on like Heavy Rescue 401 or whatever it's called. And it was brutal, because I got stuck there for another like 3-4 hours. So in total, I got stuck for an extra 7 hours on the road. Yeah. My ETA was originally 6 p.m. I didn't make it to town until 1:30 a.m. So that was a heartbreaker, Heartbreaker. Missed out on the show. I'll have to come do a makeup show for Thunder Bay. I know the people wanted it. No, he said it was a great show, good turnout and stuff. So it would have been nice, but I will make a comeback. And yeah, on to better news. Because honestly, I was sad. I was so sad. I was so frustrated. But at the same time, multiple deaths on the highway. I saw other tractor trailers rolled over in ditches. Like there was big trucks that were having big problems that day. So I know other people had worse days than me. So I was like, first and foremost, praying for everyone's family. I'm like, they're having a hard day. I'm like, God, if you can figure it out to like also let me be on time for the show, sick. But at the same time, like, let's get their families taken care of first. And also help me get there safely. I don't want to die. So I got to count my blessings. I can't be too sad about it, right? It was frustrating, though. It was definitely frustrating. Okay, on to a better story. Because that one, even thinking about it now, like I was excited to go headline up there. And I was also supposed to make some money up there. And that was, other than that, I just did guest spots where I could, different places, which was great and all. But man, when you get paid to do comedy, it's nice. Especially when you're a headliner. So it's actually a nice chunk of change. So I'll definitely come make that up to Thunder Bay. And let's move on. let's move on before I just start crying on here about my losses. But grateful about being alive. Next stop, Winnipeg. And what a treat that was. Winnipeg was sick. Hit an open mic the first night. The second day, I was actually supposed to make moves to Regina the next day, but I pulled an audible because my boy Abbas Wahab was in town headlining a really cool show. And also, like, I was in bad shape that morning to do a long drive. So I'm like, I think the stars are aligning. I think God wants me to stay in Winnipeg another night. I think God was like, hey, that Thunder Bay stuff was pretty fucked up. Why don't you spend some time with a friend from back home and do a really cool show tonight? I said, God, okay. And you'd think, oh, that's just a coincidence. You just made that happen yourself. God had no involvement. Well, check this out, guys. Because the hotel I was staying in was sold out. So I called the company I was working for, and I said, can we stay another night in Winnipeg? It would be gratefully appreciated, and I'll do extra driving tomorrow to make up the lost time. And after some discussion, we made it happen. And why I brought that up about God's intervention is because my hotel was sold out, so they had to book me another hotel. And the hotel that I ended up getting booked at was the hotel where the show is. So this show, it's called The Basement. Very cool. It's like in a hidden basement of the hotel. Like you go into a broom closet, you pull on a broom, you go downstairs, and you fucking enter this really cool lounge. I was like, I really was happy with my decision to stay there that day. It was the funnest part of the whole trip. Very happy with my decision to stay an extra day. Best part of the whole trip. Abbas crushed it. I crushed it. It was just good. The boys were in town and we were having a good time. But we had such a good time after the show that the next morning was rough. I had a fucking 13-hour drive ahead of me because I had to go all the way to Calgary now, skip Regina and that was on me. I asked for it and I deserved it. We had a lot of old fashions. I don't even like old fashions, but after the show, the owner of the bar loved us, obviously. He's like, these guys are sick. Can I get you anything? What do you like? We said, what do you do well? What do you do well? And he said, our old fashioned is great. And you know what? I don't normally like old fashions. I sipped it. I was like, this is a good old fashioned. So if you're ever at the basement, get an old fashioned. And then puke it up the next day like I did. Not their fault, but I had a lot of them. They were coming quick and they were coming hot. They were coming not temperature hot, but I mean like, whoo. So we're playing darts. We're sipping old fashions. The next morning, I'm puking before I have to drive 13 hours. So it was a long day. It was a long day, especially driving through Saskatchewan. Very boring. I can't believe they don't build any houses or buildings near the highway. Because like you can look to your right, nothing. You look to your left, nothing. You look straight ahead, nothing. It's just a long hours of nothingness. There's farms. There's deer too. There's a lot more deer in Canada than I knew. There's a lot of deer in Canada. So if you ever see somebody hunting deer and you're like, hey, don't kill that deer. Maybe be like, think about how much you want to see thousands of deer around you because I think they're doing good. I think there's lots of deer. There might be an overflow of deer if there wasn't hunting season. So, or maybe I just saw a really deer crowded part of the highway and I shouldn't speak on animal rights issues because next thing you know, I'm going to fire up the boys to go kill some deer. And actually there was not as much as I thought. But the Saskatchewan drive was boring. I got to Calgary late, didn't get to do a show there. I was supposed to do like a little guest spot if I could, but it wasn't 100% set in stone, and I was late anyway, so chalk it up. Let's move on. Now, I go to BC the next day. I've never been to BC before. The most beautiful part of the country. Saskatchewan, the most boring to drive through. Northern Ontario, the most dangerous in the winter. And then I guess BC must be too, because there's a lot of like avalanche warnings and stuff. But even though it was snowing, I was fine. I got through on a decent day. It was just every turn you make is like, oh, there's beautiful scenery. Let's round this corner. Oh, there's more beautiful scenery. I could go on and on about how beautiful it was. But I make my first stop in Kamloops. My fucking hotel window is just looking at a mountain. And I didn't ask for the mountain view. It's just like, they're all mountain views. I'm on the second floor. They didn't even need to put me upstairs too high to get a fucking mountain view. That's how nice BC is. That you have mountain views on the second floor of like a 3.5 star hotel. Like not even the best one. That night I didn't have comedy either. There wasn't a lot of it was a fucking sad amount of comedy I got to do on this trip. It was supposed to be Thunder Bay, Winnipeg, Calgary, Vancouver, 4. And I ended up doing 2 in Winnipeg, 1 in Vancouver. So 3. I got 3 in. 3 out of 4. Actually, it's not that bad. I'm being too hard on myself and the trip. But what was cool about the night in Kamloops, after enjoying the sights a little bit, when I was chilling in my hotel, I was watching this documentary about 70s music. And man, I always say like 90s is the best era for music, but man, 70s was fucking live. 70s, you had the birth of disco, the birth of hip hop. You had R&B start like flourishing out. Like there used to be like a very like set in stone way to do R&B, but I think Marvin Gaye kind of broke the mold. In the 70s, he's like, can I start just talking about stuff I want to talk about? Like he did that song, What's Going On? And Barry Gordy, who was like the producer of like all big R&B artists at the time, he's like, no, people don't want you to sing about political stuff. They want you to just sing about making love and having a good time. Don't mix it up too much. And Marvin Gaye's like, give me a chance. If I'm wrong, I learned. Or he said, Barry Gordy said to him, if you're right, I learned something. If you're wrong, you learned something. And Barry Gordy learned something because Marvin Gaye, that song was a hit. And then that led to like Stevie Wonder was like, hey, can I do whatever I want now too? And he's like, I guess it worked with the last guy. And then Stevie Wonder starts pumping out like albums like crazy. Stevie Wonder's just putting out hit after hit, like stacked top to bottom. I knew Stevie Wonder was that guy. Like I knew he's one of the best, but I didn't know it was like it was like that's what flipped the switch. He was like making music before, but he's like, hey, can I just like start throwing in like different kind of like sounds and doing a different vibe of music, not your basic R&B. He's like, go try it out, see how it goes. Same deal as Marvin. If maybe you'll learn something, maybe I'll learn something. Hey, Stevie Wonder fucking crushed it. Stevie Wonder, I'll put up how many, it's crazy how many fucking albums he put out here. I don't know. I'm not going to look it up. I'll put it there. All I know is when I was watching the documentary, I was like, what the hell? That's crazy. What else was crazy is that as I'm watching it, I see Silvio from Sopranos in the documentary. I'm like, what, is he a big rock and roll fan? Is he a big rock and roll fan? And I see him commenting about things. And then I noticed that it doesn't say like Steve Van Zandt from the Sopranos. It says Steve Van Zandt from the E Street Band. So Silvio, you didn't know? I didn't know. I didn't know that Silvio was in Bruce Springsteen's E Street Band. He was in Bruce Springsteen's E Street Band. And then he ends up being in the iconic show Sopranos. So that's crazy. That's nuts. I know other people, like musicians, have turned actors and been pretty good, but I just didn't know he was one of them. And did you? Let me know. Oh, you didn't know? Yes or no? Did you know Silvio from The Sopranos, the best right-hand man any boss could ever ask for? The only guy that's like loyal to Tony Soprano from beginning to end, whatever that ending was. When it fades to black, Silvio was still loyal up until that point, and he's loyal in the beginning too. And he's probably also loyal to Bruce Springsteen. And maybe that's the quality that he brought into both roles. He was a loyal bandmate in the E Street Band, and he was a loyal guy in The Sopranos, the right-hand man. I don't know if he was Bruce Springsteen's right-hand man, because I think his right-hand man might have been the saxophone player. I'm going to say his name's Clarence. Could be wrong. But it was just crazy. I was actually just shocked by that. The other thing that was really cool in that documentary was Freak Out. Le Freak. Chic. That song, what inspired it? When Studio 54 was going on, they didn't let the band in. Okay, so Chic was the name of the band. Freak Out was the song. And I don't know if that was okay, Le Freak came out in 78. They had another big song, Everybody Dance. Okay, so they had a couple big hits before that. About 2 big hits. Maybe more. I didn't look into it too deep. All I know, I'm just looking at their Wikipedia quick. And I Dance, 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 and Everybody Dance. Their first 2 songs that were hits was Dance, 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 and Everybody Dance. Whoever was making the titles back then, I feel like I could have helped. Because I'm good at making titles. Ask anybody. They'll tell you. But Le Freak is the one that they're really known for. Freak Out. Chic, Le Freak. And where that came from was Studio 54 was like that spot in town. You know what I mean? They would have these big parties. They'd have a guy watching the door like, you got a mustache? Get the fuck out of here. What are those, crocodile shoes? Come back with alligators or nothing at all. Stuff like that. And they didn't get let into Studio 54 one night. And like in life for a lot of people, I know me, Like sometimes you accomplish the best things out of spite. Like something happens to you, you're like, I'm going to show them. So after not getting let into Studio 54, they write this song, Freak Out. And the original lines were, fuck off. And they're telling the owner to fuck off. But obviously that's not going to get radio play, so they changed it, freak out. And it was a fucking hit. I'm just saying, a little note for today, you can accomplish some pretty good things out of spite. So when a bad thing happens to you, you're like, oh, that guy makes me so mad. I can't believe they did that to me. Think about how you can use that fuel to do something good for yourself. And honestly, that's it. That is my closing thought today, guys. If something bad happens to you, use that spite. You can either get bitter or get better, right? Or you can use that bitterness to better yourself. Either way, don't just be bitter and don't just be there stewing in spite. Do something with it. Peace.